everybody, it's Kira. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be my TBR for the One Readathon to Rule Them All. This readathon is being hosted by Ashley over at Don't Have a Degree in Reading, as well as some other people, but I will leave Ashley's announcement video in the description below so you can check it out. But it's basically a 2-week readathon that is focusing on fantasy books. So the readathon goes from April 29th through May 12th. And there are 8 challenges. I have books that fulfill 7 of them, and you are encouraged to double up on challenges as well. They do have a Twitter page, which is at the One Readathon, and you can use hashtag the One Readathon if you're going to tweet about it at all. So, without further ado, let's get into the books I'm planning on reading. So the first book I'm planning on reading is Labyrinth Lost by Zoraida Cordova. Sorry, I probably butchered that name completely. I don't know much about this book, honestly, but it fulfills the challenge of read a fantasy book with LGBTQIAP+ rep, because according to the author, there is a bisexual love triangle, which will be interesting because I've never read anything like that before. As well as the challenge of read a fantasy book set in a non-European location, because I believe that it takes place in Mexico, or it's more Mexican inspired. And I'm using it to fulfill the challenge of read a fantasy book under 300 pages, kind of cheating here because it's 315 pages, but we're just gonna go with it. So all I really know about this one is it has something to do with witches, so I'm excited to get into it, honestly. The next book I have is The Book Jumper by, I'm gonna butcher this too, Mechthild Glasser. Sorry about that. This fulfills the challenge of read a fantasy book written by a non-English speaking author. This was originally written in German and has been translated to English. Kind of cheating with this one too because I think it's a little bit more magical realism, but again, we're just gonna go with it. So all I know about this book is that there is a girl who she eventually finds out, I think it's her mom or her grandma or somebody has this power to go into a book, and she finds out she has this power too. I read like 30 pages of it when I first got it, which was like a long time ago, but I just never picked it back up because I was not in a reading mood. I think it was in like January or February, and I just wasn't reading a lot, and I just wasn't enjoying myself, but not because of the book, just because I was in a weird slump. So I'm really excited to get back into this. I have always thought the idea of going into books is just so cool, and it's something that I want to do all the time because books are amazing and fictional worlds are awesome. So I think it's more magical realism in the fact that it starts in our world and then goes into a fictional magical world, but you know, whatever. It's a readathon. It doesn't really matter. The main goal is to read books. Next up is Haven by Mary Lindsay. I also don't know much about this one, honestly, but this is fulfilling the challenge of read a fantasy book that is a standalone. I believe it's something to do with Beauty and the Beast retelling, because it says sometimes beauty is the beast, but I don't really know much about it. It came in my November page habit box, so it has all the annotations. You can't really see because the window's open, so it's really bright in here right now. But I'm excited to get to this. I've also, I think, heard that it's a little bit more romance heavy, so that should be interesting because that's definitely different from, I think at least different from the other one. So it should be good, and I'm excited to read this. And the next book I'm going to read is An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. I'm going to be rereading this because the 3rd book is coming out in June, and I'm so excited. But this fulfills the challenge of read a fantasy book written by a POC author and read a fantasy book written or with a POC main character. This is one of my favorite books of all time. If you don't know what it's about, it's a little bit like a Roman-esque inspired world in which there's this evil empire that has overtaken the citizens of the world, like the scholars. And so you have 2 main characters. You have Laia, who is a slave who is trying to help the resistance get information about her brother who has been captured. And you also have Elias, who is a soldier in the army. And they meet, and there's a lot of really good stuff that happens. There's so much action and so much darkness, but also light, and the romance is super good, and it's just an absolute joy to read. So I'm so excited to reread this in anticipation for the 3rd book. And lastly, if I manage to get through all of those, I will be reading The Last Namsara by Kristen Ciccarelli. Kikarelli? I don't know how you pronounce that either. This does not fulfill any challenges, but it's just another fantasy book. Because I'm still at school, I have a very limited amount of fantasy books on my shelf, and very limited options to get fantasy books. So, I have not read this yet. It's something to do with dragons, I believe, but I don't know much about it. So I'm excited to get to this one. So those are all the books I'm going to be reading. It should be interesting. I'm going to try and vlog the readathon the 2 weeks, but I have a week of classes left, and then the second week is my week of finals, which actually shouldn't be too bad because I only have one test that I need to study for, and then one test I have is open book. So I just need to make sure I have like the study guide ready and stuff. But I do have 2 more papers that I have to write, which I really just don't want to sit down and write. But, you know, really excited about this readathon. It should be really fun. And the only other thing I want to talk about is I saw Infinity War last night. So if anybody wants to send me a personal message through Twitter or Tumblr, and we can talk about it, because, wow, I was not prepared. I was, but I was not at the same time, and it's amazing, and I don't even know what to say, and none of my friends have seen it yet, so I haven't been able to, like, talk about it, so I've just been on Tumblr and good stuff off, but whatever. That has nothing to do with this readathon. So, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. All my social media links are in the description. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!